Maximal Base, please respond.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a Stasis Lock series we call the Axalon Outpost. This series is where we'll streamline certain choice topics pre-recorded into a concentrated video format exclusive to our YouTube channel. All videos will be kept under 35 minutes to help us stay on point and so you can get all the details in a timely fashion from what we discuss. You can find us on social media in the links in the description below and check out the Beast Wars Society Facebook group where most of the Stasis Lock cast hangs out and talks shop with other Beast Wars fans. And finally, shout out to the Cool Table Network. And with that, enjoy the discussion. So, I kind of just titled this "What to Expect from JX," because we've seen some discussions on the boards about not only their build quality and how great their figure is. We've seen some kind of speculation from fans on what the next release could be and what people want it to be. So I kind of want to open this discussion up with like possible future releases. And what do you think is the most logical future release aside from Tigerhawk? What do you think their next step should be?
Personally, I think it should be, and there's a little bias in here, but it makes more sense to like essentially start from the back end and work your way towards the middle, because I mean that to me that makes the most sense, because Takara is working from the front end towards the middle, and eventually one point or another either of them will meet. And my theory on it would be to go with a Predacon would be Dinobot. Transmetal 2 Dinobot would make the most sense. Because they start with a Predacon, they're doing a Maximal. I think it just makes more sense to follow it up with another Maximal. But I think after that, they would probably do Black Arachnia, because she was the last Transmetal 2 Maximal. As much as I would want Cheetor to kind of follow him, and like those two clash the most, I think Black Arachnia and then Cheetor makes the most sense for them to do that. As far as what I think makes the most sense to go next. But I'll tell you what I've personally seen requested more than anything has been Rampage and Depth Charge.
Right, but so I don't think that kind of fits their theme just yet, because it seems like they're coming out, they're doing the Transmetal 2 Megatron, which they've already come out with, and you've even had a chance to look at it early. And then they're doing the Tigerhawk, which they've already announced that that's what they're doing. I don't think jumping to a Transmetal bot, especially one as big, is a good idea, because when it comes to big bots, not only are you jumping from Transmetal 2 just to Transmetal, you're kind of transitioning lines there, but you're also staying in that higher priced items category.
And it's not just higher priced.
It could create collector fatigue for people that are in on this, but now they're just becoming accustomed to paying $250, $300 a figure.
Not just higher priced fatigue, it's also just the size of figures. There's a lot of people that, and granted, like Dinobot 2 wouldn't necessarily be small either. But he wouldn't be Optimus. No, he wouldn't even be like Rampage Depth Charge big, at least like not as far as like bulk goes, like, and then you're also, if you're talking about doing Rampage, you're talking about hopping a season. Depth Charge kind of makes a little sense because he's season 3, but personally I would say that, like, I definitely say Depth Charge before Optimal Optimus should be done, but I think that there should at least be, they need to do, like Black Arachnia would be a smaller character, Dinobot would be a little bit smaller, Cheetor would also be a little bit smaller,
right?
And that's kind of like what we're getting out of the Takara line. Like we had Dinobot and Megatron back to back, two big and expensive purchases, and now we kind of got Black Arachnia as like a smaller, cheaper purchase, and we're getting Lio Convoy as a kind of more medium, area purchase. That's still, less than 200, but more than 150.
Right, and we've even kind of talked about that on the Wednesday show about how it wouldn't make sense for Takara to come out with another big bot like Rhinox or what's another?
Even Tigatron. Tigatron's another small one.
Yeah, I guess, he would. He's a bigger, bulkier guy, right? Like, it wouldn't make sense for them to come out with another bigger bulkier, more higher priced one, because that would create collector fatigue. And I think they know exactly what they're doing when they go from the big to the small. They know that if they continue to just throw high priced items at you, eventually you're just going to give up because you're not going to be able to keep up. And you're going to see the future, the long-term future. You're going to judge that by the short-term future being 3, okay, now 4 high-priced items. Well, you know what I mean? Like there's only so much money I can throw at this within the next, 12 months.
Right. And there's ebbs and flows. Yeah. Well, I mean, like
figure.
especially like not to toot my own horn, but like the way I throw money at them.
Definitely.
Like because I'm getting 3 of each, no exceptions. Except for Lyle Convoy. I think I'm just gonna end up with 2. I don't feel the need to have a third sealed to try to track down this Japanese voice actor at some Japanese convention I'll never go to, just to get him to sign something, and like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely ebbs and flows with what someone is going to be willing to kind of just put down on the collection in a given year. Like everyone's got more or less a yearly budget, whether they know it or not. And I think that if you keep coming out punching with these big releases, these big and expensive releases, like, a lot of us not only need time to recoup money, but we also need time to like clear some space, like figure out where we're going to put all this. Because if they shot, because Tiger Hawk's another big one. So if they shoot for Optimal Optimus, Rampage or Depth Charge after Tiger Hawk, I'm gonna have nowhere to. They're gonna stay in the box after I review them until I can find a spot to kind of put them in. And I'm at least another 18 to 24 months away from even getting that all kind of set up and squared away with what all I want to do with that particular spot that I have planned for all that. So
right, I agree with you absolutely, because those bots take especially like the JX Megatron, just from what it looks like, because I haven't gotten mine in hand yet, but just from what it looks like, it's a bot that takes up a lot of real estate. And you need to be, if you're a serious collector, you need to kind of plot out what you're doing as far as display goes. And a bot like that will, you know what I mean? That'll have you seriously rethinking your display in order to make it not only fit, but fit cohesively in your display. And I just kind of want to rein it back into the collector fatigue thing and kind of give my thoughts on where I think they should go next after the Tiger Hawk. Because I agree with you. I think it should be Transmetal 2 Dinobot. I actually commented on a thread on the JX, I think it was the JX figure page itself, where they promoted Ben's Collectibles review. And I said, I think Transmetal 2 Dinobot is the next logical step after Tiger Hawk. Give people time to breathe from the higher priced items and still make a quality and highly sought after piece to keep sales momentum going. And with that, Transmetal 2 Dinobot is a loved character because it's tied to the original Dinobot. It's a smaller piece, so it's not going to be as expensive, not only to create and to produce, but to ship overseas to the market, this part of the market that would want it. And like, it gives you that breathing room, so you're not throwing another $250, or say the next one's $300. I'm already signed up for Tiger Hawk. I'm waiting for the Megatron to come in, but I'm already signed up for the Tiger Hawk. I am so blown away with how this company's just coming right out the door swinging. And it's really something to kind of see. Like, it's a spectacle almost, because these guys really set the bar high.
I want to touch on that comment thread real quick, because I'd commented on it like a week ago. Somebody had commented saying like, "Hey, look, if you're gonna do an Optimal Optimus, like, don't do it show accurately, please." And like, even they commented, they were like, they even said, "LOL, don't make it accurate." That's the first I'm ever hearing of this. And like, I even commented, I said, "No, I disagree. Like, make it as accurate as humanly possible to the show." And like, a lot of people were just like, "Yeah, dude, if you want something stylized, like, go to another company," essentially. Like, we're all pretty much here for that show accuracy. Like, despite what you feel about the original Optimal Optimus's design, and despite how we feel about it right now, being kind of like overwhelmed with 3 versions and couple of repaints of those 3 versions, it's like, I definitely want that one to kind of be the furthest one out realistically. Now, I don't think they would do. I think that's probably closer to the short list than what we would think, just because you would want your Megatron and your Optimus kind of together on a shelf, and that's just traditionally what will sell.
But I think let me just cut in here for a sec. I think if they want to make one, I'm all for it. Like if they want to make it, I'm all for it. I'd have to save for it, obviously, because that's a big boy. That's bigger than the JX Megatron would be, ideally as far as scale goes, and that comes with a pretty price tag. But if they were to do it, I would want different consecutive releases in between the Megatron and the Optimal Optimus, because Perfect Effect did it, where they did their Gorilla, and then they did their Mega Dorrigan, and then they did their reissues and whatnot. And to me, it's like the Perfect Effect one is a beautiful piece. Don't get me wrong; it's too stylized for me, and that's why I ended up getting rid of it. And I'm ultimately going to be waiting for JX to make one, because they've come, like I said, they came out the gate swinging with a beautiful product, and like my trust is in JX. You trust in JX from here on out. You know what I'm saying? But it's
right. And also, like, granted, like, Perfect Effect of the Primal Prime, and like that's pretty much like the cheapest Primal Prime you'll get for the time being.
Oh, Repaint City. They did the Throne of the Primes version.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As soon as like they saw that one was coming out, they're like, okay, yeah, we could do that too. But
then there was also I forget the company that did it. I think Chris ended up going in on it. The undersized.
Transart. I even forgot about Transart. Like they did the Optimal Optimus. Yeah. I always forget about them, and they're doing Dragon Megatron right now too.
Right, and then who else is doing Dragon Megatron and Optimal Optimus is
Iron
Factory. And although that scale is kind of away and it's on its own, and to be honest, I'm not sure how well that's going to take off, because it's almost like you're just riding the wave at that point. You see all these companies coming out with the Season 3 Optimal Optimus and Transmetal 2 Megatron, that you're just going to put it out there in your scale and your style, and it's like that's fine, but like I'm not in on that, especially for the price tag that they come at for what you get, right? I would almost appreciate, like I said, if they did some more smaller consecutive figures in between their Megatron and their Optimal Optimus, just because.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You don't want that. And you don't want another Optimal Optimus so close to these ones coming out. I'll be
honest, dude. Transmetal 2 Megatron and Tigerhawk are very straightforward engineered pieces. There really isn't a whole lot of parts disappearing on them. And like with Megatron, it was easy and convenient to put that dragon stomach on his back, hide it away, where no one's going to see it. Tigerhawk, again, like there's not a whole lot that has to disappear or resize and reshape itself. Not like with Dinobot, where you'll have to with Transmetal 2 Dinobot, like the hip covers for beast mode shrink as they become the shoulder covers for robot mode. So like you're talking about having to hide, and also the faux chest. Because the chest gets bigger and kind of more spread out, similar to like you're basically looking at the same kind of transformation scheme as MP41, where like some things just hide away. Like you hide those hip covers maybe in the chest section, and the actual dinosaur head would probably hide away very similarly, but you'd have to have those smaller shoulder flaps maybe hidden away in beast mode where they're visible in robot mode. And you're talking about a tail that needs to collapse in on itself, which again, like that would be easy. Like, I think from a design standpoint, putting it on a hinge and having like maybe only the bottom half of it articulate, where the back half, again, that's where you hide away that hinge folding and collapsing assembly. But and like Black Arachne is another one, dude. Like, she really compresses a lot, from her spider mode to her robot mode, and to have all those spider legs just sort of hanging off of her back like that. And it's not. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's really going to show their hand in engineering whenever they do have to do Dinobot 2 and Black Arachne, where Cheetor is going to be pretty easy. Like, he's pretty much just a stand up and
a head flip and a waist turn.
Yeah. Right. Very similar to his toy. There wasn't a whole lot of cheating there. So, maybe they go the path of least resistance. Maybe they surprise us and decide, like, let's knock out one of these tough ones. Then we'll go the path of least resistance.
And you know what?
Optimus, and then the next tough one.
And you know what? It's not a bad idea to take the path of least resistance, come out with another knock out of the park product, like, with the Cheetor, and kind of bide your time on how to do the tougher figures right the first time, instead of coming out with something that the fans could deem as subpar quality and kind of hurt your reputation. And kind of going forward, the last part here that I kind of want to touch on before my closing statement was just like the first impression and the reputation this company is building is so crazy to me. Like, when's the last time we saw a company come right out of the gate with a knockout right out of the park first time?
I'll be honest, man. A lot of people really, really dig, and they still kind of have it to this day, that Fans Toys Shockwave. Like,
Right.
as far as a first release,
Right.
a lot of folks were just really, really on board with that. I think, truth be told, at the time, whenever Fans Project released the first transforming third party figure, the Warbot Defender, I think even that, because I remember getting that and just being, enamored by it, with how many transformation steps there were and just how crazy it was, despite like looking back on it now and it not being like very good.
Right.
At the time, it was just like, whoa, had to have it, got to get it. This is incredible. Blah blah blah. Again, like as far as like first releases go, but like I think definitely the one of more recent that comes to mind is obviously Fans Toys. Now, looking at where they are now from where they were then, I would say that they have been on the decline. The Fans Toys has.
Ooh,
They
I don't want
haven't
to
been-
speak on that.
They have. Well, that's the thing, man. Like, just by what I see, just from just visually, like I got to handle their Quake Wave, and it had nice ratcheting joints, and it felt like a nice toy, and it looked like a good toy. But like, I haven't really handled anything else since that. Their Dinobots were great, and but like after that, it's like their Hot Rod. I know people are going to defend it to the MP Hot Rod, and that's all well and good, and they can do that, but like dollars to dollars, pound to pound, like that Fans Toys Hot Rod isn't all that hot. Like it's still like it suffered, albeit, and you can say it's an older design all you want, but it's not. I don't think it's on the same level, the par level of where they kind of came out the gate swinging on Quake Wave. I just don't.
Right. I mean, I don't want to get on the train of bashing Fans Toys, because that does seem to be a trend. But what I will say is Fans Toys is a perfect example with this, because Fans Toys is one of those companies that came out of the door swinging, and they've continued to build this reputation. And it's not perfect. I guess there's been some engineering problems and some like materials problems before. I'm not up to date on what Fans Toys was or will be. I'm just kind of speculating on the things that I've heard from Fans Toys fans. I think I can relate Zhang Xing to being the Fans Toys for a Beast Wars collector, if not better. Just because of how it really depends on their second release, to be perfectly honest.
Well,
but
and
the way they came out with this one,
let's pause and back up there for a moment. Like, Fans Toys was pretty new, as far as any of us know. Whenever they kind of came into the game, JX is according to them, comprised of former designers and other from like other third party companies. Like they've done other releases for other companies now, and I say third party, like I speculate that it's third party, but they could be made up from a team of like former Hasbro Takara designers. They could be made up of a team of other third party guys, but they've already had their hand in designing and production and manufacturing and stuff like this for these products. So like, I think that kind of gave them an edge on being able to come out swinging, like, albeit this was the first product for a company. This more like the way they kind of made it sound was this wasn't the first release for them as a team. Maybe as a team together, but not as like a team individually. So I think that's where they have that edge.
True enough. And I think they're kind of edging up the game too with their customer service. And it's very much like if you have a question, ask us directly. If you have a problem, contact us and we'll fix it. You know what I mean? It's very much a stand-up approach instead of some of the. I mean, I'm just kind of speculating here because I'm not too well versed in all of the third parties, but from what I've heard, some of the third party companies that just kind of throw an email on the box and they never respond, or they got a Facebook page that's only active twice a year. You know what I mean?
Or you have to go through your retailer so they can in turn go through the supplier, because I think a lot of that stuff really ends up falling back onto the supplier as far as getting like spare parts and things like that out. And the supplier, I think, is what kind of they're the ones that kind of like get that communication in there.
Right.
Where like with JX, they were like, look, here's an email for overseas after sales support, and then here's all of our Chinese after sales supports. So you can get in contact, and they're active. They're active on Facebook. They're active on different forums, and I'm sure they're active like on Weibo and stuff like that. So that's already something else, and it's just like, look, you can contact us directly for any of these replacements, and you're not having to go through. You don't have to wait for the communication time from retailer to supplier or retailer to company. You just get to go straight to that company and be like, look, this happened, or this was out the box, whatever.
Right.
I need a replacement, and that's huge too. Like that absolutely is huge.
And I think that plays in part too in creating such a great first impression and building that reputation right out of the gate, not only just from releasing a quality product, but from their interactions with the fans and not being afraid to be like, all right, if we messed up, and we will fix it for you because our fans come first. And I think that's a really solid approach. With that, I don't have anything else written down here. Do you have anything in closing?
In closing, man, like I know I've said it like on the main show, and it goes further. They're like their open communication. They're like, they know that they are new, and like I feel like their willingness to be able to work with someone like myself. Like I'm not particularly a large subscriber based person. To be willing to just kind of go out on a limb like that, like with someone who isn't. Like, I think that speaks volumes. Like they could have shot for some of the bigger fish, so to speak. And I don't know. I speculate. I can't say for sure, but I speculate Ben from Ben's Collectibles. I speculate he got his through whatever his retail sponsor is, which is all well and good. I mean, it happens. Like that's how these things kind of make their circulation. But like I didn't have that. I didn't have that retail sponsor. Like I footed a lot of those costs in terms of like getting it to me, right? Without going into too much detail. But I think that speaks a lot for them to be willing to do that, to be willing to really put that out there. And I think that's commendable for sure. And to have that connection with the fan base. And it wasn't, like I've heard all the stories about you have to like I think Bobby talked about it, like whenever he did some KFC stuff, like he'd have to send those videos into Keith to get them approved. I didn't have to do any of that. They essentially just said, go nuts. We don't need to proofread your stuff. Like, we're that confident in our product. And I think that showed a lot, like right off the bat. That's something, like as far as things that I expect from them, I don't expect to get like, a sample every time. I don't. I'll be humbled and fortunate if they continue to build that relationship with me. I would love to continue to do it, obviously. Yeah. But the fact that like as long as they keep that standard of we are so confident in our product, like we don't need to proofread your work. We know that we sent you a grade A piece, and if there's anything wrong, we're confident that we can fix it, sort of thing.
Definitely. So, and I guess my only closing statement is I hope that they are self-aware enough to realize what kind of bar that they have set with their first piece. And like, this is going to be something that is going to be very hard to top, not only from other companies, from other third-party companies, as far as quality and just the figure overall, but them themselves have set such a high bar for their next release to top. And absolutely. I'm confident in their confidence that they can do it. Just from watching the reviews and stuff, and yours specifically, like that piece looks phenomenal. And if they're going to uphold that quality with every release that they do, I don't think they have anything to worry about. But it is something to consider going forward, because when you set the bar that high, sometimes people think, okay, well, maybe I can loosen up here and drag my feet a little bit because I've done so well. And it's like, no, now you're competing with yourself. And I just really hope that they are self-aware enough to continue that momentum going forward.
I don't even think they have to really just compete with theirs. Like, as long as they just stick to their already established quality, I think they'll be fine. Like a lot of companies want to kind of like one up themselves, and sometimes that ends up hurting them.
Right.
But like in this instance, like it's not broken, don't fix it, and just kind of keep keep on going with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's undeniable that JX right now is at a 1-0 score right now. Like they scored the first one, undeniable success for sure as far as a product goes. So, and I'm looking forward to what they come out with next. Like that Tiger Hawk, I am like pre-order ready. If you put up pre-orders right now, I'd put the money down and wait the year and a half. I mean, don't do that because I want to hang on to my money. But like I'm as confident in them as they should be in their line going forward.
Absolutely.
So with that, we will get out of here. Thank you guys very much for listening. You can always check out Stasis Lock every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with your host, Primal Sabbath, right here, and myself and the rest of the Beastie Boys, as we sometimes call ourselves.
We even get a Beastie Gal from time to time pop on.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyways, make sure to check us out on Wednesday nights. If you get the chance, hop in the chat and come talk with us. But for that, we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll be back with the next Axalon Outpost episode sometime soon.